All right, let's talk about drawing pencils. These are different than your regular number 2 pencils. We're specifically going to talk about 6B pencils. So you can see the 6B here. You might find a black one or you might find a red one. Most of mine are either one of these two colors. Every once in a while you'll find a random different colored 6B pencil. You can get pencils ranging from H pencils, a variety of H pencils, which are really light. And the lead is harder, and I think it can go all the way up to 8 or 9B, which is a really dark, soft pencil. The ones that I have are 6, and they're pretty dark and they're pretty soft. They're great for blending. And I have here a blending stump, and we'll talk about that too. So I have here an example of what we're going to be doing, and another example here of what I would like you to do as well, which is shading these 4 forms. So we're going to try our best to sketch them out and shade them. The first thing I'd like you to try to do is just a really quick value scale with this blending stump, and I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, let's get started. Take your 6B pencil. First thing I want you to do is draw a long rectangle. And then I want you to push pretty hard as you can, in fact. Get a really dark value. And then go a little bit lighter. And a little bit lighter. And if you want to switch to like a regular number 2 pencil towards the end, or an H pencil if you happen to have one around, you can for your lightest value. And then just practice using your blending stump. If your blending stump happens to be really dirty, you can always just do this and kind of clean it. This is just paper wound up. In fact, if you don't have a blending stump, you can even make your own. All right, so that is step 1. Step 2 is to try to practice making these forms, and I'll have the slide up. I'm going to start with the sphere. I'm not going to make all of them. Actually, why don't I do a different one? Why don't I do the cone shape here? So I'm going to start with the cone shape. I would maybe use a number 2 pencil or a regular pencil to kind of sketch the shape out before you shade. But if you don't have one, that's okay. So I'm starting with like a really light sketch of the cone, and I'm even going to, and I want you to do this for all of them, I'm going to sketch out where the shadow is. So the shadow for this one starts kind of at the bottom and meets here. So the light source is on this side, the shadow's going the opposite direction. Okay. The darkest area that I see is my shadow. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that in. And there's the bell. Please don't leave. Okay. And now I'm going to start to try to do my shading on my cone. I know that this side is darker. I'm looking at the picture even though you can't see it right now. I'm looking at it. Now my cone is kind of circular, so I'm doing a little curve as I'm shading this. I'm not pushing too hard. I want it to be a little lighter than my shadow area, but it's still pretty dark. Shading kind of in the direction that your shape is going really gives the illusion of like that three-dimensional. Okay, it's definitely a little lighter here, so I'm not pushing as hard, and I'm actually going to just stop and leave this side without any pencil, because when I go in with my blending stump, I know that I can just, and I'm going really lightly here, fill that in. The blending stump helps kind of soften those lines. And you can go over it a few times. Sometimes I go vertical, but I generally want to try to shade in that curve. All right, that looks pretty good. You're going to try to do this with all 4. Try to get all 4 done to the best of your ability. All right.